Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out themichaeldukesshow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Hi there, ho there, hey there. Welcome to Thursday, the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the internet at michaeldukesshow.com. Hello, good morning, my friends. How are you? Are you ready for this bright and sunshiny day? It was hot yesterday, man. I was driving home and I actually had to turn my car to AC. It was like, dang, it's nice. I'm not complaining at all. Of course, only 33 degrees this morning, so we're at that equilibrium point where it gets nice and warm in the evening and gets cold at night. But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna deal with it, and pretty soon we're gonna have the green stuff up and everything. You got your plants. You got your seedlings sprouting in your garage right now with the grow lights and all that kind of stuff. It's that time of year. That time of year, time to get it done and time to get it rolling. All right. Well, what do we got going on today? Oh, there's a ton of stuff going on. Legislative action heating up. You can see that the Democrats are just desperate to try and put this correspondence school decision behind them. They are just like, oh, how fast can we fix this? How fast can we fix this? And on the other hand, you have Republicans in the House who are saying, let's take our time and fix this right. Let's see what we can do. And it's going to be, let's just say it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out as well. The truth gets told down in Anchorage, and the leaders of the Anchorage School District are finally talking about the real reason that they have got closures and other things going on. And this is an interesting thing. And I'm just curious why more people aren't kind of outraged by the fact that they admitted that they kind of did this the wrong way. We'll talk about that here in just a bit as well. The city of Palmer and the council has rejected plans to downsize their new library. I want to talk a little bit about this because this whole thing on book banning. And look, I am all about making sure that the children are kept safe in certain areas. But when you start talking about a community library, like for everyone, I got some questions. I got some questions about when do. I am not a fan of the let's ban the books, even books I disagree with. Mein Kampf, I've not read it. I've read excerpts of it, but I've never read it. But do I believe that it should still be available? Absolutely. Because it, again, shows us that just, what could... Anyway, there's a whole thing built in around this, but this whole fight over... books and book banning and everything else is now extended into the regular public library system, which I personally think is a mistake. But we'll see what comes down for that. Oh, by the way, did you see that the Mat-Su Borough did I talk about the fact that the Mat-Su Borough eliminated the requirement for business licenses? Did somebody in the chat room will have to tell me if I did or not, because I was very, very pleased about that. That the Mat-Su Borough decided to eliminate the necessity for a borough business license. That would have been on top of the city that you operate in business license and on top of the state business license, right? So there's some, I would say there's some good stuff going on down here in the Mat-Su. So I'm excited about that. So anyway, when I saw this story, I just couldn't remember because I had held on to the story for a couple days because we'd never gotten around to it, but I kept wanting to get to it. But anyway, it's good. But this whole thing on the library, we're going to get to that as well. What else? Tragic. I wanted to mention this. I couldn't bring myself to listen to the audio, quite honestly, because it was rough. After the plane crash that we talked about yesterday, new video surfaced actually showing the plane. What happened is that one of the engines apparently exploded. That farm out in Rosy Creek actually had a security camera mounted pointing at the field where the plane flew over it. And you could see the engine explode. And the engine explodes, and then the plane just tips over and crashes into the ground. And it's just horrific. But the worst part is that there's tower communications where the pilot or the co-pilot, one of them says, "Tell them I love them, man. Tell them I love them." And that's, man, I couldn't listen to it, but it was brutal. So again, thoughts and prayers out to the families of these two souls on board. The pilot and the co-pilot names have still not been released, which is fine. Just, again, thinking of them today as you listen to that. That's it. We get so enamored, we get so inured to the fact that flying is such a dangerous profession, especially when we're talking about rural and bush flying. Maybe airliners are a little easier. I don't know. But just flying in general is a dangerous occupation. And so our thoughts again go out to those folks right now. One of the weird things that came out of the Mat-Su Borough, which we're going to get into here in a bit, maybe if we have some time, is that the borough is now requiring that all found animals get turned over to the shelter. Which, why? I mean, they've had this rule for forever, but they previously didn't enforce it because the shelter lacked the space for found animals. Now they're adding capacity by partnering with rescue groups, but at the same time, if I can find the owners myself or put it out there or take, why would I don't know. There's a whole thing going on here. And it appears to be this is all about a pissing match between the Mat-Su Animal Shelter and some pet rescue is it statewide? I think it's statewide. It's a statewide cat rescue. So the Clear Creek Cat Rescue. Anyway, there's some give and take going on here. So it is what it is. And finally, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. If you would like to sound off, now's the time to do it. 319-527-3864, 319-527-3864. We'd love to hear from you today. It's all open line, open forum. So, you get to, you guide us. You want to talk today? I'd love to hear what you have to say. And yep, Willie, I think that's where we're going to start this morning. We are going to start with, holy cow, I got 53 different messages. Okay, here we go. I was looking for the, I was just looking for this. There is a Facebook post that's been going around, and Willie sent it to me, and actually somebody else sent it to me as well, that people are unhappy with Mary Peltola And this came out just a couple days ago. A woman named Gloria posts in the thing and said, "I'm so disappointed with Mary Sattler Peltola. After her campaign promise to save our salmon and our mother Kuskokwim, she has signed on with her handlers to promote the proposed Donelin mine." And the comments in the chat are just astonishing, including some names that are like, what? Somebody named somebody with the last name of Peltola says, this next election, don't vote for her, get her out. Somebody else with the name of Peltola said, OMG. There's a lot of Peltolas in this chat that are basically saying she had the largest donations received to date. History, who receives the most money wins. So inform everyone to get out and vote her out of office. Yeah, I mean, this was an interesting thing to see. Let's just put it this way. I mean, so far, they've been kind of uniform in the whole thing, and it's an interesting situation. But she's not making herself any friends right now. Apparently in her home area. She's not making friends and winning friends and influencing people. Pretty much every comment, there was like 20 comments on this one single post, and pretty much every comment was anti-Peltola, which I think, from what I'm reading here from this group, seems to be a little bit unusual. So it's, somebody says she definitely jumped into the DC cabal once she was elected. What a disappointment she's revealed herself to be to her constituency. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, it's an interesting as the world turns for Mary Peltola. I don't know if she's going to be as big a shoo-in as we think she's going to be. We're already starting to see some of the monies come in for the opposition and for the PACs that are starting to come in. We're seeing big buys that are starting to happen right now in advertising for the October-November time of year. And you can go online to any public file for the FCC, and you can look at the FCC public file of any radio station or television station out there. And you'll be shocked, I tell you, at how much money they are pouring into this state. The PACs, groups like Vote Alaska Before Party and some of the other ones. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars are being placed right now for the fall. It's pretty crazy, man. It is pretty crazy as to what's going to be happening come this election season. And I can guarantee you that many of these will be supporting Mary Peltola, Nancy's girl. Sorry. I mean, look at what she's got going on right now. She's got the franking ads. There's franking ads going on. And then there's another Center for Progress or something is doing a whole bunch of ads. If you've watched YouTube at all in the last 6 weeks, you've seen nothing but, Peltola ads. Every other ad break is a Peltola ad from that PAC. They are going to pump tons of money into this state to do that. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting thing. All right. We're going to jump in here. We're going to jump into the break, and we'll return in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We will return with more, plus your phone calls if you want to sound off. I'm looking for you guys to call in and talk about what you want to talk about this morning. 319-527-3864. Go. Fly, be free. Off to the phones. Let's go. Back with more. The Michael Duke Show.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Excuse me. Let me go back up here. Yeah, I couldn't listen either. I couldn't listen to that. Yeah, I mean the whole yeah. DC-4 was full of fuel. That was definitely a deal. My bare root strawberries go in the ground today. Hoe in the ground. That was a metaphorical slip. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. Terry says, and the other 47 licenses you need to conduct business. Yeah, I know. Seriously, right? Good morning. Hope you're feeling better for the weekend. Yes, I'm feeling better. I mean, I don't know if it was a touch of food poisoning or if it was this lower GI bug that's been going around apparently. I mean, it wasn't like I was super nauseous. It was just like I'm mildly nauseous for days. And so finally last night I was just like, oh, screw it. And I made a big bowl of spicy ramen, like was just spicy chicken, just make me sweat. I'm either going to throw it up or we're going to power it. And I did, and I ate it. It was delicious, and I was sated, and that was it. And I feel a little bit better. So, have you seen her ridiculous commercials? I mean, yeah, like 1 million times. I've seen her ridiculous. I mean, she's like 1 million times this commercial from this pack about all the things that Mary has done. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird. Okay. Michael, would you use the bridge over the inlet if they built it? Hell yes. Of course I would. The landing point is like 3 miles from my house. The proposed landing site for the Knik Inlet for the bridge would have been like 3 miles down the road from my house, which would put me in town in like 13 minutes, 14 minutes. Yes, I would use it. An hour and 10 minutes or 13 minutes? Which would you? Yes, I would use it. If they charged me a multi-pass or a toll thing of $10 a month or something, I would do it. I mean, that's crazy. Of course I would do it. Sorry. If they build it, he will go. Yes, I will go. Build that bridge, man. I need that bridge. Friend was at Alaska Airlines in Anchorage, and Lisa and Mary climbed off the jet together to a crowd of happy supporters. Slither. Well, I mean, game knows game, right? Game recognizes game. They're basically both playing the same game. Both playing the same game. About the only recourse we have is to flood the polling places and vote. Look at the low voter turnout around here. It's no wonder why we get stuck with clowns that don't care about Alaska in office. Get a plan in your areas, give people rights to vote, do whatever you have to, vote in person, send these clowns packing. I mean, that's right there. Yep. Yeah, residents in Ketchikan now wish that bridge to no. I mean, whoever came up with that phrase, the bridge to nowhere, is a genius, because it really, I mean, it criticizes without actually having to prove anything. I mean, when they say it's a bridge to nowhere, it's a bridge to first of all, there's only one way in and out of Anchorage on the north side and on the south side. This would have given us another entry point into the city, and it would have relieved the pressure on one of the busiest roads in the state. I mean, there's just so many different things you could have done here, but, there you go. Ryan. Okay, hold on, Ryan. I'm gonna address this here in just a second because this is hysterical. This is hysterical. We're gonna jump into this. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all this stuff. Here we go. Phone calls. Where are you people? Come on, let's do it.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay. Oh, man, we were talking about a lot of stuff during the break. That was fun. You can always join us, on Facebook or YouTube if you want to participate in that. But Ryan asked a question in the chat room, and he said, what can I change my name to for name recognition on the ticket? Nobody knows facts beyond name alone. And that reminded me of a story that was in Reason Magazine here not too long ago. And it was a story about a presidential candidate who you probably have never heard of, but you may be able to vote for him. So Ryan, you might want to take a peek at this. Take some notes. He says, Ryan says, what can I change my name to for name recognition on the ticket? Nobody knows facts beyond name alone. Well, you could do what Dustin Eby did. Dustin Eby is a 35-year-old Texan. He says national debt is the biggest problem. He's running for president, but he has legally changed his name to literally anybody else. That's his name. His name legally on his driver's license is literally anybody else. So if he gets his name on the ballot in Texas, it will read Donald Trump, Joe Biden, literally anybody else. Which is about how I feel right about now. I think that is like literally anybody else. I think that would be a great name, Ryan. If you need to change your name, that would be a great name to make it happen. I'll post the link up in the story in Reason so you guys can take a look at it and read it. But literally, that's what this guy did. He's just so sick of it. He's just like so sick of the whole thing. I mean, and so if you go to the ballot and you end up on the ballot, then there you go, my friend. It could be Mary Peltola. It could be what? It could be literally anybody else. So Ryan, there you go. Go change your name if you need to, my friend. Change it and make a difference out there for sure. All right. The Donna mentions that today in Labor and Commerce, tomorrow in Labor and Commerce, Ben Carpenter's occupational licensing bill is up in the House Labor and Commerce. It reduces the burden on licensees and allows for universal reciprocity with other states. Whoa, see? That's what we need. Less red tape. Less, this is what we need right here. That's what we need. Again, because we already have to have 57 other licenses to ply our trade or do whatever we need to do. We have to beg the government's permission to do all that and every time. So it's there you go. All right. We're sorry that literally anybody else just cracked me up and made me completely lose my thought. All right, let's talk about this library thing. All right. Because, and I know some of you were going to disagree with me, and that's fine. That's life. That's what all the people say. The whole issue with the banning of books is problematic to me from many standpoints. Now, when we're talking about libraries that are in schools, I would agree with parents that inappropriate or age inappropriate, I guess is what I'm looking for. Age inappropriate material shouldn't be in those libraries because they are, used throughout the day without parental supervision. There's not, I would agree that there are some problems there. Now, at the same time, if you want to have a book about Johnny has two mommies or whatever else you're upset about, those, I would still say that those should be allowed in a regular library. Now, again, I know some of you are going to be all upset about it. I'm not saying that I agree with that I agree with that sentiment, that I agree with that, the whatever. But again, I believe that the answer to speech you don't agree with is more speech. So while I agree that children should have the parental supervision required to see all this kind of stuff, I hate to see this kind of battle over books bleed into the regular library system, the public library system. So there was a vote in the Palmer City Council that, of course, their library collapsed under the heavy snow load this last year, right? The roof partially collapsed, and they're using a small location, and they are looking to build a brand new library. It's a new 20,000 square foot 2-story building that was going to replace their 12,000 square foot building. And it's going to cost about $18 million. As planned, the building includes large reading areas, an outdoor balcony, a variety of meeting rooms, and it also includes storage and office space for officials with a nonprofit called Friends of the Palmer Public Library, which is a nonprofit library support organization that some say promotes books they consider obscene. All right. So this is where the whole obscenity thing comes in and everything else. So that is the key here. So what they were looking to do was that the Palmer City Council, there was a question in front of them about whether or not they should downsize the library to a smaller project. They wanted to, 3 of the 7 members wanted to ask the architect firm, Wolf Architecture, to cut costs to no more than $10 million, a move that would require shrinking the building plans to about 14,000 square feet. Now, it still would have been larger than the old one. Not by much, only a couple thousand square feet larger, but I mean, it would have been larger. But since you're in the middle of replacing it, does it make sense to expand? Because this library was not new. This library was, 20, 30 years old. And Matsu and the Palmer and Wasilla area are, growing by leaps and bounds. Would it make sense to increase that? I mean, anyway, in a vote of 4-3, the council rejected the downsizing proposal. And so that's all well and good. The plans for the building are going to get at least one more look by the city council before the project actually goes to bid, and construction is likely to start next year. Palmer City Council last week sent a letter to the Attorney General asking him to determine whether 56 books, including titles widely considered classics, such as Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, violate the state obscenity law, and ask whether city librarians could be arrested for letting minors check out these books after a local resident filed a complaint with police. Okay, so here's my thought on this. I mean, of all the books and I read through the list of books, the 56 books that they were looking at to begin with, and there were a few that I recognized, but Slaughterhouse-Five, of all books, somehow that offended somebody. I mean, it is a classic. But the fact that, again, that you want to take this at a regular library, not a library that's in a school, not a library that you would not have direct supervision of your children over, and everything else, why wouldn't you, you know, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not a fan of banning books, even books I disagree with, even ideas that I find offensive or inappropriate. I am just not a fan of that because, again, the answer to speech that I don't agree with is more speech. Now, would I like to see, maybe should there be a rating guide on the books where, this is PG, this is PG-13, this is rated R, must be over a certain age to be able to check this book out? Maybe if it's salacious material, if it's explicit or, semi-pornographic material, yes, I would, I don't see that being a problem. But to ban it outright, no, I just don't see that being appropriate, personally. In a school, yes, we should be very choosy about what we put in the schools for a variety of reasons. But the idea that somehow a regular public library should have some thought police come in and change that offends me, just from a standpoint of the library is supposed to be the meeting house and the clearinghouse for all information and all thoughts, whether you agree with them or not. But again, maybe that's just me. You feel free to sound off and let me know. And tell me what your thoughts are on that. 319-527-3864. Rob is quoting Mark Twain saying, Twain's definition of classic literature is a book that everyone wants to have read, but nobody wants to read. That's true. That is a little bit true. Brian is also making a comment about smaller building equals less cost equals less margin for contractors. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's it. There you go. And then, I saw when I was in Fairbanks this last weekend that they're expanding the library there. I mean, a lot. I mean, that library was already huge, and was never crowded. But now they're apparently expanding it. You should go in there and check that out. You should go check that out. I don't even know what that expansion is going to cost, but I know that it's big money, whatever it is. It's big, big money. All right. We're going to take on. We're going to move over here and move on to the next segment. With the internet, says Mark, libraries are obsolete and a waste of money. I disagree. Now, the way that they're used could change, but I disagree that they're a waste of money. It's one of the few things that I believe public funds should be spent on, is a library.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes,
allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sure. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook.
All right. Money, it's a hit. Yeah, don't give me that do-goody good bull. What? Money, it's a hit. Richard said, I laughed when Nikki Haley lost in her own state to none of the above. Yeah. Years ago, I remember a man running for office in East Lansing, Michigan, whose slogan was "No worse than the rest." Nice. All right. Jeannie asked, magazine racks with Hustler and Playboy mags. I think you're asking, would I have that in the library? No, I mean, I don't think that that's necessary in the library. But I know that some libraries have subscribed to Hustler or Playboy or Penthouse magazine as part of the thing. But I mean, again, are you checking them out? Are you reading them for the articles? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. To use the meeting room at the Wasilla Library cost a fortune. They actually charge you to use the library? I mean, wow. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, that's right, Bill. Jeannie, if they did have all those racks of magazines, you'd get a lot more middle school boys to read. Yes, I'm sure it was I'm sure that's what it was. Get the FNSB to help out, raise the tax, and you can get 3 times that amount. Just tell everyone it's to save the schools. I know you're not a fan of this, but the district leaders say declining enrollment is driving plans to close multiple schools, but they need more funding. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. It should be interesting. Yeah. If you think guns are dangerous, think about libraries. Whoa, baby. Public funds being spent on any book you can download on Amazon. It's time for our antiquated grip on brick and mortar needs to wane. Well, it's all cafeteria. There's a cafeteria in the upgraded library. What? They put a cafeteria, like a coffee shop or something in there? That's just stupid. I'm going to disagree because as great as electronic everything is, there's something about having a book in your hand. Something about that. Reading and everything else. In a world that's pumping out vidiots left and right, anything actually involving reading a book or learning from another resources that aren't TikTok or YouTube seem to be facing obsolescence. But people should still support libraries. Yeah. The gay pornographic books for the children's section. No, I just think that, again, I haven't been to the library since the internet and talk radio. Well, okay. It's a coffee shop, says Ryan. It's a coffee shop. Who are they going to hire? I mean, I guarantee you, if the borough does it, only the borough could lose money running a coffee shop. Well, anybody could lose money, but you know what I mean. Maybe. At least I hope they put that out to a vendor. Here's my gripe. Why do we tolerate government competing with private industry for any reason? Just launches my blood pressure. Well, yeah, but I mean, how does a library compete with private industry? Is that what we're still talking about here? I'm just curious. Bradley says, I'm up here working in Fairbanks and I see the vote no on May 7th signs everywhere. Well, except the one in front of the Union School. Yeah, exactly. The one that says, save our schools. It's so sad. Save our schools. They're going to die. We needed $10 million. And then we found $13 million in the couch cushions. But then we need another $10 million because I just can't. Yeah. All right. I just think, I mean, Jeannie, I see your point, and I agree with you for the most part. It's one of the few things that I believe that is a universal good for everybody. A library is a universal good. Okay. We got to go. We're going to jump back into it. Here we go. It's going to be another Barnes and Noble. Oh, no. Okay. That's my thought. Okay. Thank you, Amy, for the thought. Let's move ahead. Let's jump back into it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff and things. Lori. things.
Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Enemy. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
Well, okay. Welcome back to the program. It is the Michael Duke Show, and we are in this beautiful Thursday edition of the program today with you, all by your lonesomes. And it is open line, open form. Well, what does that mean? That means it means call right now if you want to sound off on anything. 319. I'm so used to the other number. The other number's broken, and I haven't even bothered to try and fix it because it just irritates me every time I have to try and fix it. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. And just give us a call, and we'll talk about any of the topics. If you want to argue with me about why they should or shouldn't be banning books in libraries, or why we should do it, why not? Bill's now asking for good news. Okay. All right. I'm whatever we need to do. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I've got the chat room going on over here as well. We simulcast the radio show on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. And so we've got all the people here in the chat rooms from the various platforms, and we're all hanging out and talking during the breaks, and they're throwing ideas at me throughout the show. So if you want to participate in that, feel free to do it. We've got about 60 people in there right now hanging out with us, doing our thing. All right. So the library issue, we've moved on beyond that. Let's talk a little bit about the Anchorage School District saying the quiet part out loud. And again, it's interesting when you read this story from two different outlets, because one mentions something that the other one doesn't. And I don't know if it's the brevity or if it's just the different media, because one was KTUU, which is the television station, and the other is the ADN. But interestingly enough, Lex Yelverton over at the KTUU talks a bit about this, how the school district officials in Anchorage had a work session yesterday, and they're now announcing a multi-year school closure and consolidation plan. And it's what Superintendent Bryant is calling the right sizing initiative. And he said, when I use the term right sizing, I'm specifically talking about the process of consolidating school buildings or repurposing school buildings. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that, as explained in more detail in the ADN article from Annie Berman, is because they have declining enrollment. And not just a little bit. Again, the school district in the last, this would be the 13th or 14th year now, since 2010, they had 50,000 students, and now they've dropped to 43,000 students. So roughly 7,000 students have just evaporated. Not just that, the demographic changes have happened a lot as well. And demographically, that means where students are going and what's happening. 84% increase, 84% increase in correspondence students. And a 61% increase in intensive needs students since 2010. So they've had a lot of changes that have been going on. 84% increase in correspondence students. That's in their system, their correspondence system, not the overall correspondence system in the state. That's just in the Anchorage School District System's correspondence program. 84%. It went up. Oh, my goodness. So the district officials have been, talking about this closing schools for a long time. But they finally, in this article from Annie Berman, she actually gets them to say the quiet part out loud. District officials said the move to close schools is being driven by declining enrollment, not budget woes. During this is it. Not budget woes. Jim Anderson, the district's chief operating officer, said ASD is changing its messaging on why closures are needed. Last time we brought this up as part of the budget discussion, and I think that's where it really went south, he said. My God, this man's a hero. Jim, you're right, because that was not the reason why they were closing the schools. It had nothing to do with overall budgeting. It had to do with the fact that you lost a significant portion of, and you had schools that had a fraction of the students that they were supposed to have. Bryant added, this is Jarrett Bryant, the superintendent, we need to ensure that the community is aware that we're doing this not due to some sort of budget shortfall. Wait, you don't need more money? That's what you've been telling us for the last 2 years, is the reason why you're closing all these schools is because of the state funding, right? Right? I mean, right? I mean, that's what they were saying. In the fall of 2022, the district recommended closing 6 neighborhood elementary schools, and Bryant, at the time, cited insufficient and unstable state funding. Oh, and the dropping enrollment numbers. But they started and led with insufficient and unstable state funding as the reason. The announcement came just before a gubernatorial election and sent shockwaves through the communities with schools slated for You don't think that was intended? You don't think that was a motivational event? Oh, by the way, we're going to close 6 schools. When it was all said and done, how many schools did they close? 1. So they did it right before an election, sent shockwaves through the community. They end up closing 1 school. As I said, the need to close and consolidate schools is all about enrollment, and that is being driven by declining birth rates in Anchorage over the last decade. They've had fewer enrollments, particularly at the elementary level, and the schools that are well below capacity are mostly elementary schools. I mean, this is just, it's crazy. While there are nearly 6,000 fewer students attending Anchorage elementary schools now than there were in 2010, since then, just 3 elementary schools with a combined capacity of less than 1,000 have closed. So so they've only closed the student seats for 1,000 out of 6,000 students. They've lost 6,000 students, but they only shut down the classrooms for 1,000 of them. Oh, man. Anderson told school board members that all schools were on the table for possible closures. He said that after announcing which schools would close, the district planned to stagger the closures over a 3-year period to give parents time to plan. He added that the district had not yet settled on numbers of schools or any particular schools to propose closing. Finally, during the meeting, a school board member, Pat Higgins, asked Anderson about the potential negative impacts of the proposed plan to close any school, and said he took issue with the term right-sizing, which he said wasn't a perspective that all families involved might share. Snowflake has got his feelings hurt. He's got the potential negative impacts of the proposed plan to close any school. Well, it's not great. I mean, people are going to lose their jobs, obviously, and communities are obviously going to have to ship their kids further to go to school. I mean, there are some negatives, but I mean, he took issue with the term right-sizing. So then Anderson responds, and I got to say, I kind of like this guy. He said, we know that our schools are, in many cases, the heart and soul of that small community, Anderson responded. You're not going to take away the emotion of someone who bought a house so they could go to a specific school if that school is the one that closes. Those are negative, Pat, and they always will be. Just, it's negative. There is no upside on that, right? I mean, it is what it is. But if you want to make your dollars be as efficient as possible and you want to teach kids as efficiently as possible, you've got to do it. The chief academic officer with the district, Sven Gustafsson, I love Sven, said consolidating schools can make academic instruction more efficient by decreasing the need for itinerant staff who have to travel between schools. Full-time teachers are able to spend more time with students and get to know them better. Larger schools, more efficient use of our monies, and actually better service our kids. That's the whole point. So there you go. But they actually said the quiet part out loud. We brought this up, and that's, we tried to frame this as a debate about budget, and we were wrong. It didn't work. It wasn't the truth. It wasn't the truth. That was the worst part. That what was really driving all of this was the enrollment numbers, but they tried to play it as if it was a, big political, and of course, right during the election and everything else. But that's the bottom line. They can't hide behind it anymore. It's about enrollment, not budgets. Surprise! Okay. Bill asks if we can please have some good news. All right, I'll work on a little good news during the I'll work on a little good news on the next break here as we get ready to come up to it. Anyway, that was kind of the interesting take today, was that they basically came out and said, again, what many of us have known for a long time and have been talking about with declining enrollment numbers and everything else, but they literally came out and said, well, this is where we went wrong. We should not have brought that and made that part of it, because that wasn't the truth. It's good to know. Good to know. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I'm glad you guys came out there and said it. And Jim Anderson, I kind of like him. I don't know him. I've never met him. I haven't noticed him writing before, but I kind of like it. All right, we got more coming up. Homeschooling programs may continue. Some are saying that the legislature can make a simple fix. Others are saying it's not. The House has moved to request a whole different deal. They want to extend out for over a year. We could talk about that as well. Your phone calls and more. It's all directly ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. We'll be back with more after this. Okay. Did anyone make it to the Soldotna schools that had kids dressed in red? No. Why would you make your children political pawns? Just asking. I can't wait. Oh my God. Jim says, I can't wait until they fire up the bean grinder and espresso machine in the library. Shh. Quiet. Herder says, and also considering the manipulation is going on, the work mental exercise of reading, writing, and developing conceptual frameworks that truly enhance thinking are being displaced. I'll probably die out with the old school, I guess, though I do recognize the benefits of the new. Yeah, that's good. Rob says, oh, this is great. Rob says, I'm sure the rise in intensive needs students has nothing to do with the state changing the special needs factor in the BSA formula from 6 to 13. There was a 61% increase in special needs stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that had nothing to do with, it. I've yet to talk to a teacher who isn't thinking about quitting, all driven out by the admin and how the schools are run. Couple that with population decline. Oof. Yeah. Yeah. Smoke and mirrors in the school district, says Sourdough Steel. Color me shocked. Bill Brock, you should check out the Fairbanks PD body cam footage released yesterday. That was good. What happened yesterday, Ryan? You have to share with me on that. How about the old Sears building in Wasilla? They're talking about places that the legislature could hold its sessions. Hell, you could put the legislature in one school building, and that would be it. You could literally hold the legislative session in one school building, and there you go. Okay. What else we got here? I think I'm all caught up. There was a guy that had lost $900. Police pulled him over and posted the resolution. Huh. All right. Well, post a link. I'm confused now. Whoa. Let's not do that again. Sorry. A little feedback in the headphones. That's what I get for doing that. All right. Oh. Well, at least today I didn't have to take my constitutional yet. I try and work around that. I hardly ever do that, and it's only in cases of emergency do we do that. So I'm feeling better. Boy, that spicy ramen. I made some spicy ramen last night. I was hungry. And I was like, I'm still a little nauseous. I was a little hungry. What do we got? I'm like, the night before I'd had a ham and cheese, a small ham and cheese sandwich. And that's pretty much all I'd eaten. I had an apple yesterday, and I'm just like, and then I'm like, you know what? Something warm, yeah. So then the more I put into it, the more spicier it got. And then I put chicken in it, and then I did this, and I did that. And then it was like, I breathe it through my mouth as I'm trying to eat it because it's not temperature hot. It's like spicy hot. Oh, man, so good. All right. Ryan just dropped the link in the chat room here. Let me take a look at that, see what it looks like here. Finders Keepers took a report from a Fairbanks resident who lost $900 cash after it fell out of their vehicle at a gas station. The FPD officer reviewed the camera footage, which showed a suspect pick up the cash and quickly drive away. And the same officer located and performed a traffic stop on the suspect's vehicle later that same evening. And pulled him over and took the cash. Okay, that's a little crazy. So apparently they're going to ask him for the cash back. Okay, here's the cash. What if I already went to Costco and bought groceries with it? It's illegal to take possession of lost or mislaid property without trying to return it to the owner through reasonable measures. So apparently if you find something, you just can't keep it. It's not finders keepers. Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. So thank you for the stuff there. 60 degrees in Cooper Landing yesterday. Guy spent it all, but returned it the following day. Well, Harold, you'll have to go read the post that just got put up there because the Fairbanks Police Department disagrees with you. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to try and return. I think if I found it at a gas station on the ground, I think I would walk in and tell the cashier, give him my name and say, I found something of value outside, and give them my name and said if they want it returned. Because, I know I can trust me to hold on to it. I don't know if I could trust a cashier at the gas station to hold on to it. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, there you go. We'll see what happens. Time to get back to it. I guess we'll continue. Hour 2, the Michael Duke Show. Open line, open forum, whatever you want. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. Hello. It is the Thursday edition of the Big Radio Show, and we are ready to go. For this Thursday. It's open line, open forum. Any topic is fair game. Whatever you want to talk about, feel free to smile and dial and pull it in, and let's just get to it. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are and what you want to talk about. We have got a few other stories that we'd love to share, but if you want to call in, phone lines it's our favorite thing to do is to chat with you guys about whatever topic you want to bring up. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864 if you would like to be part of the show today and in a different way and share and talk, and feel free to give us the ring, and we'll sit down and talk with you right now about all those stories and more. We just finished up talking about the Anchorage School District finally saying the quiet part out loud. Basically, the reason why they are looking to close schools really has nothing to do with the budget process. It's the fact that their enrollment is down significantly. And that's really why they have to. And they actually said we screwed up when we said that it was the other way around, which I'm cackling gleefully on the inside, in case you can't tell right now, because this is what we've been talking about for a long time, that it really had nothing to do with budgets. It had to do with the fact that the enrollment in the school districts continues to decline and has been on a decline for more than a decade. In fact, for 14 years, it's been on a decline. Actually, slightly before that, it was on a decline, but it's just gotten worse. And that's why they have to close some of these schools, because it's an efficiency issue. And no matter how much it hurts your feelings, or you get emotionally attached to a school that your kid goes to, or whatever, then the bottom line is, sorry, don't have enough students to make it work. Okay, so what else do we want to do here? Talk about the tax cap in Fairbanks. Where can I find information showing the money? This is Melissa is in Fairbanks. Melissa Beth. Talk about the tax cap in Fairbanks. Where can I find information showing the money wouldn't go to schools? That's how this tax increase is being sold. Well, because any tax increase will go into the general fund. It is not a dedicated tax. They cannot dedicate the money to education. So as much as they want to tell you that this is for the children and it's for the schools and it's for the this and it's for the that, the bottom line is that any money raised in the form of taxes goes into the general fund and then has to be appropriated out to a specific purpose. It cannot be dedicated by initiative or anything else. So that's just a function of how the state and government budgets work. You can't just dedicate a tax because you say it is. It has to go into a general fund, and then it has to go through an appropriations process. That's part and parcel of it. Now, there are a few exceptions to that, the Dobbs thing and the Fish and Wildlife, where the ammunition tax goes to certain things. But I mean, generally speaking, this is what's going on. It cannot be directly allocated to a specific purpose because of the state constitution. Okay? So that's that. Here's my second question on this. When they first started talking about busting the tax cap, now the tax cap has kept a downward pressure on the size and scope of Fairbanks's government for years. In fact, Donna Gilbert, who is, she was one of the founders of the tax cap, framers of the tax cap. She was the one that was driving this bus for many, many years. She said that she estimated at one point that the tax cap had held back the size and growth of government in the city of Fairbanks to the tune of somewhere close to $250 million in holding back the growth of government because of the tax cap and because we renewed it every 2 years, which prevented the the assembly from monkeying with it or doing anything else. So for the first time, what we're seeing right now is a real challenge against it because we've got the tax cap coming up in the fall, and they've decided, we need this money for the schools, this $10 million, and they see this as an emergency way to try and sidestep the vote in the general election and municipal election in October. The problem is that kind of got submarined when Bryce Ward, the mayor, came around and said, we know you needed $10 million, but we just found this, we just found $13 million in the couch cushions here. We just found $13 million floating around in one of these accounts. So, hey, you're saved. And yet those people who are looking to bust the tax cap, that's not enough for them. See, the goal is really not to fund the schools. Because if the goal was to fund the schools, when Mayor Ward said, hey, we have this $13 million, they would have said, problem solved. We're all saved. It's all great. Now we can go and appropriate that. But instead, they continued full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, on this special election vote. This is all, by the way, at the same time that they're creating this palatial puppy Taj Mahal, a $33 million animal shelter. Remember, we were just talking about this library down in Palmer that they're rebuilding, a 20,000 square foot brand new library facility for $18 million. They're building a $33 million animal shelter. So they find the 13 million. They can't do it. There's, we still need the money. Oh, by the way, the school district is now spending money on advertising that is educational in nature. And apparently APOC has reported that they don't even have to put a paid for buy on there because it's educational. Wait, it advocates in one direction. It's advocating for you to vote for this. That is not educational. That is attempting to inform the outcome of an election. I mean, why would APOC allow them to dodge the bullet? Everybody, if I put an ad in that said, I want to support or influence your vote on an election, I would be required, as a private citizen, I would be required to put a disclaimer in there saying that I paid for the ad. And Fairbanks has already been told that if this tax cap passes, we won't get the full 10 million, so this is all a ruse. This is insane. There's a veterinarian in Fairbanks who's offered her clinic for $5 million. It has all the needs of a new animal shelter, says Melissa. Okay, I mean, yeah. I mean, Melissa says, Dukes, Even I expect better. Come on now, listen to the ad. It's an informational talking about both sides and does have a paid for on it, she says. Not the other one that I heard the other day that was sent to me. The one that is not that APOC actually ruled was not required to have one on it. So maybe they're running two different ads or somebody's running a different ad. I'm just a little concerned here. And by the way, school districts running ads for bonds or for, in this case, a tax cap bust is wrong. They should not be spending public funds to try and influence the outcome of an election. We've seen it every time that there's a school bond issue. They go out there and tell you all the great things it will do with the bonds. All for just pennies on your dollar. So please vote yes. I mean, come on. That's just crazy. Yeah, and here we go again with government competing with private industry again, says Jeannie. And that's 100% right. See, this is the problem. This tax cap has been in place for 36 years. It's been in place forever. And it has held back the size and growth of government. No, it's not sexy. It's not, but it has done what it was supposed to do. And now they see an opportunity to go in and bust it by utilizing a crisis. At this point, it's the, we need the money for the schools crisis. And even when they're said, oh, by the way, that $10 million you need is over here. No, look, it's over here. Even though they've done that, we found 13 million. Well, we still need the 10. It's not about the money for the schools. It's about the money, and it's about busting the tax cap and allowing that expansive growth to happen. Because any expansion of the tax cap has trickle and knock-on effects for years to come. I mean, that's the thing. It has knock-on effects for years to come. Once you bust outside of that cap, it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the zero at that point. How much money can they take? So yes, Melissa Beth, who asked about, what is this about the whole, how is this tax? Where can I find information showing the money won't go to schools? It may or may not. It goes to the general fund. Just like all that money that was supposed to go into deferred maintenance for those schools and was supposed to be taken care of all those years ago, and they spent that money on something else, just the same kind of thing. They'll tell you it's for the children. They'll tell you it's for the children. They'll tell you it's for their education. They'll tell you that they need it, absolutely need it. But in the long run, it'll go to wherever they deem it the best to be spent. Could be on new code enforcement officers for their wood smoke police, could be on new assessors in the assessor's office, charging nonprofits for the use of their, because they helped out something or did something else, charging them property taxes on the nonprofits. I mean, there's a million things that it could be spent on that have nothing to do with schools. And if that happens, I'll be the first one to tell you, I told you so. Okay. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think that this is a good thing. You're in Fairbanks and you're like, I'm voting yes. Yes, to save our schools. I saw the sign while I was up there. Yeah, vote yes to save our schools. They're all going to die. And it's horrible. If you feel that way, feel free to call us up. 319-527-3864, The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio. Save our schools.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, I told Bill I would get. I just told Bill that I would get some good news. Okay. Let's see. Okay, that's a good one. Let's see. I'm just looking at a couple of these. Nice. Okay, I got a couple of stories here that I think are pretty good. Couple good stories here. Tiger King. I'm sorry, there was a story about the Tiger King that was there. It was just okay. All right. So I got a couple good stories from the good news stories, and we'll join in on that and see where it goes from there. Okay. Deferred maintenance is not a slush fund. It's a rainy day account. Deferred maintenance, I mean, again, there's a special place in hell for the guy who thought that up, because that's a hot mess. Deferred maintenance is evil. And it is a slush fund. It's a way for them to pay for things that they would normally not be able to pay for or justify. But because they can hide it by deferring the maintenance for whatever facility that they took the money from, and they could just put it off for another day, it is kind of a slush fund for them to be able to do whatever they want. I mean, when you've got $250 million in deferred maintenance in Fairbanks, Alaska, of all places, 280, what was it when Carl Castle was mayor? He brought me the number, and it was like $281 million, $250 million for a town, for a community of 100,000 people. There's a problem there, folks. There's a problem there. There's a special place in hell for the person who thought that up, for sure. Absolutely. All right, I see we got a line on hold. And so I suppose we should go over and get their name real quick. We're about, 2 minutes away from rejoining? All right, let's go get their name real quick and figure out who they are. And I see they're calling from Bethel, apparently. Good morning. Who's this?
Yeah, good morning. This is Willie out here in Quinhawk with a little good news for Bill.
Okay. All right. Well, hold the line, Willie. We're in the break still. I'm going to come back to you here in just a minute. Willie is out in Quinhawk, and we're going to come to him here in just a hot minute. Okay. So hold the line, Willie. Would love to hear what you have to say. Okay. All right. If everyone that should vote yes on the ballot on the special election should be required to bring $100 donation. And Ryan says $100 only estimated per 100,000 K of property valuation, so you might need to do more. Yeah. Harold says we need to have some viable project to get excited about. $1 billion Facebook data center, $1 billion Facebook data center in Southeast. I think that'd be great. I mean, I've often thought that if we could get our connectivity issue squared away, Alaska would make a great place for a data center because of the temperatures. You know, you've got plenty of room. We got good temperatures. It would have been access to I think it would be, yeah. I'm down with that. A data center? Sure. Doesn't have to be Facebook. Could be anybody's data center, but why not? All right. Good luck with getting everything clear. It's a huge presentation. I believe I started on the Pro website. Good luck figuring out all the ins and outs of how they do it. Well, that's the thing. They confuse it and they make it confusing, so you can't really follow the trail, right? Can't really follow the money. That's what it's all about. All right, we're 10 seconds out. Let's get back into it. Willie is on the line from Quinnahock, and we're going to take that phone call, and we will continue in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's do this.
The Michael Duke Show. Seriously humorous with a pinch of intellect. Sorry. That is humorous. Here's Michael Dukes.
Yep. It's funny. Haha. Humorous. Let's continue on here. We got a phone line on hold. Willie is out in Quinnahock, out towards Bethel. And he's going to, he has a few things to say. He wanted to give Bill some good news, he said. Let's see what Willie has to say this morning. Good morning, my friend. What's on your mind?
Well, good morning, Alaska. I have more than a few things on my mind. First one that just steps with me every morning. You know, I'm 450 miles from the closest road, and that's still not far enough to avoid all the fallout that happens from bad decisions in Anchorage City Council, Juneau. You know, there's just no place left to run anymore.
Right.
That's the sad part. But the good news is that with this newfangled media we have called Starlink, which we should have everywhere in the state for the money they're wasting on stringing lines laying on the tundra right now. You can keep up with what is happening to try to combat it and keep it out of your area if possible. And Mary Peltola got caught up big time. And right now, when you fire up Osmond Native Corporation, which is the federal tribal for the Bethel census area, in their words, Bethel Native Corporation, that's the for-profit side of it. ONC is what it's called, is the federal side, and they handle all of the HUD housing. They're building a subdivision in Bethel for lower income, trying to help their people out, and they do tons of good stuff. But they have, one of the things that they have is they have this organization at ONC that's called Mother Kuskokwim, and it's an all-out fight to keep the Donelson mine from happening. And years ago, you have to be out here to go through the whole process, but over 20 years ago, it was behind door, closed sessions, no word of what was going on. All of a sudden, Chalista, which is the huge regional corporation out here, signed these contracts with what's now we just call it Donelson Gold, because there's been Nova, there's Barrick, there's multiple gold companies involved in this contract for Donelson,
right?
Which is, I don't know, 155, 160 miles, something like that, up river above Bethel up there,
right?
And it was all behind closed doors. The shareholders were never involved in anything. And through the years, the bonuses that Chalista pays has created quite a few millionaires. And yet, funds that get, the for-profit funds that get shared as dividends never really get dispersed too well. So we have this huge problem out here. The rivers have been shut down. We're not allowed to subsistence fish. You know, except occasionally they'll open it up and let you go get a few here and there. But these are people that are 100% dependent when you get into these villages like mine, you know, that they're totally subsistence. Right now we're shooting geese. And people, I know there's people right now cringing in the urban areas, but you're not paying $8, $9, $10, $12 a gallon for gas. $25 a gallon for milk in the store here. Yeah, people eat what's out here, and we gather it when we can. It's entirely different. But ONC is totally opposed to the mine, because we all know this mine sits on a hill 7 miles above that's going to drain everything that comes out of it. It's going to drain. And if they allow Donelson to happen, it's going to be the world's largest open pit gold mine. And that's just on the Calista side, because it sits on a divide that is the other side of the mountain divide right there. The property's border belongs to Doyon. And Doyon actually has the richest property, and they told the mining companies, no, you go build everything you need and let everything drain into the Kuskokwim, and eventually we'll open up a mine of our own and we'll bring it over and we'll process the ore on the Kuskokwim side, but we're going to keep our side, which would drain into the Yukon, clear and free of pollutants. It's like 40 miles across between. It's the closest point the two rivers come anywhere in the state, and it's less than 40 miles distance between the Yukon and the Kuskokwim, where this mine is at,
Right.
with a little divide. But anyway, Mary went ahead, tied up, and got involved with Lisa Murkowski, Dan Sullivan, and they're all going, yep, we got to be able to force this mine to be able to happen out here. And the people are all going, hey, wait a minute, this is not state or federal property. This is private property. This is all on private property.
And when you say that,
going,
when you say that, Willie, you mean this is all on native allotted lands, right? I mean, this is native land. This has nothing to do with the state, nothing to do with the Fed. This is native land that we're talking about, right?
Yes, exactly. And the shareholders are going, we were never included in any of this. It was all hidden. These contracts were signed. Millionaires were made. Boom. And the millionaires, of course, they disappear and they head right straight into Anchorage. They're still living in Anchorage, you know. And it's typical politics. I don't care if you're looking at city government, state government, federal government, or native governments. They're all crooked. They're all corrupt. And those that have intend to keep what they have, and the sharing portion just doesn't get shared real well, no matter what, you know. But anyway, Mary now has gone and crossed swords with ONC, and that means now they've got the vice mayor of Bethel, happens to be a young gal on there named Sophie Swope, and she's in charge of ONC's Mother Kuskokwim organization over there, which has launched lawsuits. They're along with the city of Bethel, they've launched lawsuits to prevent Donelson from happening. They've joined up with all these radical outside organizations, and they have a lawsuit going right now. And what Mary did was she opened a can of worms. And people just go, I can't believe she'd do that. I keep going, really? You knew that the second she left Juneau, Governor Sarah Palin handed her a letter, says, as long as they don't call you a lobbyist, you can go to work for Donelson Mine. Boom, she went to work for Donelson Mine before her term was even finished. She went to work for Donelson in like October or November, right after the election. She didn't even run. And, you know, she was still there till January 20th, whatever day it was they swore in the new legislator. She was already at work at a six-figure. So Mary became, I call her the Trojan horse. And she had all these ins, and she used them to go to every village out here selling Donelson gold, and how it would never be a possibility that anything would spill into the river.
Right.
No earthen dams would break, holding back one of the largest toxic lakes that's ever going to be created is 7 miles above the Kuskokwim. They have these autoclaves that when they process, they're going to cook they're going to cook everything, all the arsenic and everything else that they're going to use. Cyanide is going to be brought up in special containers up the Kuskokwim, barge load after barge load of cyanide to wash and flush the fine gold out of crushed rock. And, nothing's going to escape these conclaves they cook. Well, she got herself into it by going to all of these villages out here, and I'm talking a whole lot of villages. If they'd let her in to talk, she'd be there, and she was handing out nothing but truckloads of free Donald Gold jackets, hats, backpacks for the kids loaded with school supplies, everything with the word Donald Gold on it. She helped them get a brand new scoreboard in the Bethel High School in there that's got Donald Gold right across the top of it, so they can brainwash these kids through the years. And now we're talking clear back in the mid-teens. I forget what year Mary got out of office, 2006, 2008, whatever it was. But anyway, Mary's into this so deep and making so much money, and yet nobody could believe it. When she was running the last 2 times, I do a radio show on Fridays out here, and I'm telling everybody, leopards don't change spots.
Well,
she is bought, she's paid for, and she is going to back Donald.
This is what blew my mind, is that people were like, oh, she said she's not going to be she said she doesn't support the Don. And but you're ignoring her history of working and doing stuff for them for years. Like all of a sudden she changed her mind, and now you're surprised that she changed it back. I mean, come on, that's not realistic.
Well, the thing is that now that it's flushed back, you mentioned earlier in the show that I'd sent you an email, that posted out here. And when you look through that, you have Peltola crowd on there, and you have one Hoffman on there that's extra special, and I just love it. And that's Lyman Hoffman, Senator Lyman Hoffman's sister, Bev. And if you want to talk about the queen bee of liberal politics that controls the Delta, Lyman's sister, Bev, is powerful. And when you tick Bev off, and she's as hardcore left Democrat as you can get, you tick her off, and she's going, nope, this is not good. This has got to go. Mary has really made a mess in her nest. That's all I got to say. And it's just flooding the internet out here between the villages. You guys don't see it on your side of the hills because you have to be friends with everybody to naturally see what's being posted by these people out here.
Right.
And I got 3,000 some of them, that are friends out here. So I'm seeing it from all these 57 villages here. I'm seeing it up and down the Alaska Peninsula. And boom, if you start promoting Donald Mine, that means you're going to be promoting Pebble Mine too. But Pebble Mine now is an entirely different deal. That's state property, and I believe the state should never be influenced by the federals on that, which makes it a difference. And I'm still opposed to both, and probably not for the reason most people would suspect, but my main opposition to these mines, at least the Pebble Mine, is the percentage that the state makes off it is a piddling 3%.
Right, that's the problem.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with mineral rights, is that it's a net 3% net, and that is, I mean, that's horrific. It should not ever be that. Willie, I want you to finish up here. I'm running out of time. I've had you on here for a bit, and I mean, I wanted to get some good backstory on the Peltola thing, which I appreciate. But let's finish up here.
You betcha. Well, what I got to say is Mary can take all the dark money she wants, but she done pooped in her nest out here, and she's not going to pull the native support that she pulled last time, which is good news for Nick Begich. And with that, good morning, Western Alaska, and all the rest of Alaska.
All right. Thank you so much, Willie. I appreciate you calling in and being part of it this morning, and giving us that little bit of backstory there on Mary Peltola. And what was happening before, because I think it's right. She may have stepped in it here. And if so, that could mean good things. I mean, I know Nick Begich is definitely, there's been a balance with Nick Begich where people are like, the Begich name, it's that when you do a head-to-head with Mary, that Nick comes out ahead. Why? Well, because the name is familiar to Democrats and Republicans, and even Democrats may accidentally vote for him, even though he's a Republican. I mean, it's an interesting conundrum. But we are up against the break, and we're going to continue here in just a moment. We got more coming up. One final segment. I got some good news, and I got some idiots of the day news. We could do the idiot of the day first if you want, and then we could do some good news. So we'll see what comes of that. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty-Based, Free Thinking Radio. Come on out, join us on Facebook if you'd like. We'll continue with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Yeah. It's a nothing burger. I've had that. That nothing burger is tasty. Don't we all want it? Okay. Idiot of the day. I've got some other stories here, and then we can go into the correspondence program. Okay. So that's it here this morning. What are you guys doing this weekend? What's going on this weekend? You guys planning on doing anything spatial? Anything spatial this weekend? I'm sleeping. I have basically planned out and booked out the whole weekend for sleeping. I mean, I did the whole thing. I worked all last weekend. I was sick. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I hadn't eaten for 3 days. And then I'm just like, okay, you know what? Gonna have a big meal. Then I'm going to go to bed. And I'm going to sleep until I wake up. That's the plan. That's the plan. Greg's working. Oh, man. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I wish you wouldn't swear on the program. Jeannie's going to planting. Rick's working on his raised beds. I loved raised beds. I love box. We do box gardening. We did. Well, we haven't since we've been down here, but we did that when we were up in Fairbanks. We did the what do they call it? Square foot gardening, where I built 4 foot by 4 foot boxes up on sawhorses. And we did all of our gardening. That's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. What? And you're going to be, and it's going to be the most beautiful weekend, and you're going to sleep? Yeah, because I like to live longer. And I feel like if I don't get a little sleep, I'm going to die. I just want to feel rested. I just want to feel rested. That's what it's all about right now. And if I have to do that during the week, there you go. Let's see. It sure keeps the slugs at bay. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, the raised gardening, the square foot gardening is really kind of an ingenious thing to do. And it works really well. We did it for several years up in Fairbanks. And it definitely makes it nice, especially if you just want to run outside. I mean, I used to go outside at dinner time, right before dinner time, and pick up, I had with Swiss chard and greens and different types of lettuce in one box. And so one box was like all lettuce, and I could literally graze all week long start on one side of the box and just clip it back to the other side of the box all throughout the week. And by the time you got done, you get back to the other side and you could start again. So fresh salads all summer long. Oh, so good. All different. And we had some really cool variants of lettuce, like some purple lettuce and some other, there's some really, anyway, I love me a good fresh salad. It was good. And it didn't do so well for tomatoes. And I don't know if because the box wasn't deep enough, but the tomatoes never really did very well. We got some cherry tomatoes, but never got, to the big on the vine kind of, bigger tomatoes, which was unfortunate because I planted some heirloom seeds that I really wanted to see, how they came out, but they never really got much bigger than, although we did get a bunch of zucchinis. We got plenty of zucchinis for zucchini. My wife makes a zucchini, she calls them zucchini boats. So it's stuffed, zucchini stuffed with sausage and stuff. Man, I'm hungry. Holy cow. Independent bookstore owner here will be working this weekend. That was me last weekend. Well, it's okay. It is okay. I'm going to spend a little time with the fam, and I'm sure we're going to be cleaning up around the house as the snow melts more and more, trying to get the yard to dry out a little bit. The backyard is a little mushy right now. I walked out in it yesterday and was like, nope, let me go back up on the porch. You have to plant tomatoes from seed in January, says Jeannie. Maybe that was my problem because I don't think we started them until March. I think we started them early, but I don't think it was till March. Oh, wow. Getting his bike out on the road, putting an old Case tractor together, play some old time music, my friends in Cantwell. Good for you, my friend. That sounds like fun. Melissa says she's going to vote. Early voting for the special election begins Saturday. Okay. Well, there you go. Now everybody's got their marching orders. Go vote. I can't, what's irritating? I can't vote on it because I don't live there. It's not my residence, even though I own property and it's going to affect me. I can't vote on it. That pisses me off. All right. We're going to continue. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense. Okay, Melissa hit us with a good reminder. Early voting for the special election in Fairbanks starts this Saturday. So if you want to vote no against the tax cap bust, which is on the 7th of May, I would recommend you go out there and do that, right? Do that on Saturday. Get the early voting in. Get it done. Don't wait till the last minute. All right? Don't be that guy or gal. Although I think I can't remember who said it was. I think it was Benjamin that said it earlier that he was working in Fairbanks recently and all he saw was no signs for voting. Yeah, I'm working up here in Fairbanks and I see no on May 7th signs everywhere except for that one in front of the Union School. Yeah, it's true. The no on the special election is huge, as it should be. People should be fighting back against that because, again, if you bust the cap now, it will have ramifications for years to come. And I know these people all want to get their hands on more money, but just no, we don't need that. Sorry, we don't need that. All right. Well, final segment of the show this morning, 319-527-3864. If you'd like to sound off, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Feel free to give us a ring, and we'll take your calls here in the final segment. I got a couple good news stories, which I think are kind of fun and inspirational. And then I've got the story about how much time do I have here? Yeah, I could do this one. I was going to talk about the school board or this homeschooling program There's 3 different stories in the ADN, the Beacon, and the KTUU talking about what's going on with that. The long and the short of it, by the way, I guess I'll just put that out there right now, is that there's going to be a split between the House and the Senate. The Senate obviously wants to just make the changes that it can make, and I think that they want to kind of they want to kind of control what's going on with the changes to the to whatever statute. They're saying that a simple legal remedy could be could be had with a simple change. That's what the legislature is suggesting, and that's what the senators are wanting to do. The House, on the other hand, is divided. The House is basically saying, we want to make a decision. They passed a sense of the House yesterday, which is basically a non-binding resolution that says that they're going to join on this case as an amicus brief, and they're asking for 14 months or 18 months, 14 months to get it done. And because it's going to take some time, and they want to do it right because they're concerned that the Supreme Court's take on this case could have wider ramifications on education as a whole, which I think is good. The senator, see, what's happening is that the senators and the representatives who are part of the cabal that took this thing to court to begin with, they don't want to have to face the legislative fallout. They don't want to have to face the electoral fallout from all these parents who are pissed off about the possibility of losing their kids' educational things. And so they want to put it to bed like right now. They want to get it put to bed right now before the election season. Whereas the House is a little more reticent to, and I think there's some good reason, because you don't know what this ruling could do on other things, but also because this is great political hay. I mean, if you can hold on to this and this whole thing is in limbo during the entire election and it's not settled and consolidated before the election, you can hold that over your opponent's head the entire time. As you should. So that's kind of what's going on with the whole homeschooling and everything else. The Senate wants to just pass a simple change, and they want to get it done because they want to put it behind them. They don't want it hanging over their head during the legislative races during the election cycle, which is going to happen here starting in 3 weeks, is when it kicks off. Somebody said, who was it? Somebody suggested that, it was what the heck is his name? Bryce Edgman suggested, if they want to do, they should just have a special session on it. He suggested a special session on fixing that, where everybody else basically just said, no, we think we'll just put this stay in and we'll come back and revisit it next year. If this does get held over through the election cycle, I think it's going to become a key component of the race for some people. I really do. So that's important. All right. So those are those stories. Let's talk about the idiots of the day. The idiots of the day, as reported in the ADN. 3 fishermen are now facing federal charges after being accused of illegally transporting more than 7,000 pounds of crab harvested in Southeast to Seattle in hopes of getting a better price. Jeez. Instead, the prosecutors say much of the haul was wasted upon arrival in Washington because the crab was either dead or was suspected of being diseased. Corey Potter, his son Kyle Potter, and Justin Welch were indicted last week on charges that they violated the Lacey Act. The law makes it a federal crime to break the wildlife laws of any state, tribe, or foreign country and then move or trade with the wildlife across the U.S. borders. Potter owned the 2 crab boats involved in the scheme. I think owned is going to be the key term there because he's not going to own them anymore. With his son and Welch working as captains. The boats are based in Kodiak, according to the Daily Mirror. The 2 boats harvested more than 7,000 pounds of Tanner and Golden King during February and March in Southeast. He then directed the captains to take the crab to Seattle, where they plan to sell it at a higher price than they could get in Alaska. That's a long trip. From Kodiak all the way down to... That's a long trip, man. That is a long trip. Now, Alaska law says that crab boats have to land at a port within the state, and record their harvests on a fish ticket. And that is the one purpose is to detect what they call bitter crab syndrome, which is a common disease caused by a parasite that's fatal to the crab, and that then they salvage any ones that are not infected. By avoiding the Alaska ports, the men evaded that process, and by the time the two boats arrived in Washington, more than 1,200 pounds of king crab had died and was no longer marketable, and another 4,200 pounds of tanner, the entire harvest, was destroyed upon arrival because some of the crab were found to have bitter crab syndrome. So you lose. You lose on everything. You lose on, why didn't you just take it back to the, I mean, did you not know what was going on like this? This is the stupidest thing ever. All right. Good news story for the day. Last November, one of NASA's most famous craft, Voyager 1, stopped transmitting messages entirely, to the great anxiety of those who were responsible. It wasn't all stress, though, because mission controllers could tell the spacecraft was still receiving their commands and otherwise operating normally. Now, the most distant object in the Earth is now, again, sending data on the health and status of its onboard engineering system as it drifts through interstellar space. It's been 46 years and 7 months since Voyager 1 left Earth, and 11 years and 8 months since it bade Pluto farewell and left our solar system. In March, Mission Control for Voyager 1 at NASA's JPL laboratories in California managed to hone in on the issue that was preventing the two-way communication. They discovered that a single chip responsible for storing a portion of the flight data memory wasn't and still isn't working anymore. So they couldn't use the science and engineering data. So unable to repair the chip, the team decided to place the affected code elsewhere in the memory, but no single location is large enough to hold a section of the code in its entirety. So they devised a plan that basically stored the code in sections. And they basically BitTorrented it across the whole system. Once they had it sorted out, they sent the modified code to the new locations, and voila. Now it's talking to them again. Of course, we've all seen this movie, so we know what happens now that Voyager is talking to us from way out beyond the solar system. We know, just look out for the bald chick, okay? That's all I could say. Just keep an eye out for the bald chick, because she is trouble. But hello, Voyager. You're back. They call me Voyager. All right. So that's your good news for today. 45 years. That's crazy, man. 46 years, 7 months. That's awesome. It's awesome. All right, my friends, we got to go. We will see you tomorrow for Firearms Friday. Looking forward to it. Be kind. Love one another. Live well. All right, my friends. Appreciate you guys coming on board. Tomorrow is a new day. I'm hungry. This is the first time in 4 days I've been hungry. So I'm going to go actually grab some breakfast and then go on to the rest of my day. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you tamale. Everything's food. Tamale. Have a great day. We'll see you then.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.